This conference will now be recorded.
Then we will mount to item, then we will mount to schedule lines. So header controls, VOV8. Okay, header is controlled with the transaction code called as VOV8. And you could see there are various document types here, as we discussed: OR for order, QT for quotation, IN for inquiry, right? So there are various document types. So let's say if I go for OR, so any document is identified by this particular document types. So you please copy, rename, and you could do your configurations, but don't disturb the standards. Don't work on the standards like OR, CR, or RE. Don't work on the standards. You have the copy button. You could copy them, and you could rename and use it. Okay. So if I go to the OR and go to the details, so we have a couple of controls here. So these are the controls which is controlling a sales document at the header level. So what is the first control here? OR, and the description says standard order, right? But how does system know? As I just mentioned, don't disturb the standard and copy, rename, and use it, right? So let's assume that if I copy this OR and I'll give a name called as XY, and this description also I'll give something else, some random description. So how does the system know that XY is a sales order, right? So how does system know that? So system will not identify any document either by document type or description. Okay, system will not identify any document neither by this particular document type or description. So how does system identify? That is through SD document category. You see this field SD document category. So SD document category, this field actually controls what kind of document it is. Okay, what kind of document it is. If it is OR, it says that C, right? SD document category is C. If I go to a quotation or an inquiry, let's say inquiry. For inquiry, it says A, right? For inquiry, it says A. For quotation, it will be B. You don't need to memorize them. Sorry, quotation, right? QT. If you go to QT, this will be B. So SD document categories, you don't need to memorize them, but you should be knowing that the document is being controlled by SD document category. Okay. Let's say for OR, order. So if I open a sales document, order, OR, and if I put this SD document category as B, then what is this document type? Anyone? Document type is OR, but SD category, I'll put it as B. Then what is this document? This document is quotation. Okay, this document is quotation, right? Because system will not identify a document with a document type or description. It will identify only by this. If SD category is B, then system obviously identifies that as a quotation. Then next is sales document block. Sales document block. Let's say if I create a quotation, VA21 is VA21 is to create a quotation. QT You see, system allowed us to reach the screen, and now I can create a quotation here. Okay. But now, if I go and put that particular block, see, user knows only this screen, and whatever is the transaction user creates, that will be in this screen. Okay. But as a consultant, we control the backend how this particular transaction should be behaved. Let's say in business, in real time, we will be creating lots of document types, because for dealers, we want one document type. For distributors, we want another document type. Or wholesalers, there may be a different document type. Or for some customers, we want to check credit, and for some customers, we don't want to check credit. Like, so for that reason, we copy and create various documents in the real time. No lock. So anyone from this batch using the screen, please don't use it. We will wait. Okay. So in the real time, what we do, we copy and create lots of document types. Like for government customers, different, dealers separate. For few customers, there should be there should be a credit check should happen. So like this, there would be a lot of document types. But for some reason, if you want to block some transaction, that means for the next 6 months, you are not doing government business. Okay. So you're not doing business with the government customers for the next 6 months. Then why you need to keep that document active? Because that document has been configured and created as per the government customers requirement. So when you're not using that particular document, then why you should keep active? So what you could do is you could put a block. Okay. Sales document block. So now if I go and try to create that particular quotation, so SPR, whatever we are doing now, that activity is in SPR backend, the VOV8 control. So now if I go to VA21 and try to create, earlier also we have used the same values, right? But now you see system says this sales order document type QT is blocked for processing. Okay. It is blocked for processing. So user don't know why it was blocked or from where it is blocked. As a consultant, we do that in the backend. So these are configuration controls. So where do we, from where we have blocked it? From this. We have put a block. The next is indicator. This field indicator. Indicator is applicable only for one process. It is not applicable for any other process. It's just applicable only for one process. That is invoice correction request. What is invoice correction request? Anyone? What is the document type for invoice correction request? Anyone? If you don't know the document types, then it means you will not know
Okay.
that you will not know
Okay.
the controls,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Mandatorily, you should know all the document types. Okay. So RK is the invoice correction type. Only for invoice correction type RK, you will see this indicator as D. Why? Because you know, right? That is invoice correction is a special process, and same document same line item copies twice. First line item positive, second line item negative. Right. So this all how it's happened. That is because of this indicator D. So for that reason, it is applicable only for invoice correction. It's not applicable for anything else. The next is number range assign number ranges. So just like what we learned number ranges at the customer master, here also we have internal number range and external number range. Internal number range, as you know, system itself will populate the sales document number. External means before even we proceed with the creation of a customer, we need to enter this. Okay. So what is the T code for customer number ranges? Anyone? Customer number ranges.
XDN.
XDN1. So sales document type number ranges are VN01. Okay, VN01. So this is the sales document number ranges. Same process, internal, external, and everything. NR type, everything will be same. Okay. So number ranges is same. And as we just discussed, if it is external, sorry, if it is internal, system will propose it, right? But if it is external, how do it is proposed? In the interviews also they may ask this question. How external sales document is processed? Okay, how do we process external sales document? So how do we process this external sales document? Let's see. So as we already discussed at the time of process itself, whenever we create a sales order and you enter all the mandatory fields, when you enter all the mandatory fields, system will automatically generate that particular customer number or sales document number, whatever it is. So once we create it and we save it, system will automatically show it, right? But how do you process the external document? If it is internal, system itself will show you the document number once you save it. But how do you process this external? That is, you see here, sales order, there is a field, and when you open this, it will show you the range. You see, from number to number, it will tell you the range from to, right? So this is how we process the external sales document. Okay, sales document with the external number range. The next is item increment. Item increment. So whenever we create a sales order and enter a line item, thousand. So I'm just entering the material. I'm not entering the serial number. Okay. I'll just enter only the material. Even for quotation also it's stopping us. Okay. Anyway, so whenever we create a material sales order, the serial number will start with a 10. It will not start with 1. So it will show 10, 20, 30 like this. So why it is like this and how system knows that the first line item should be 10 and the second line item should be 20 and the third line item 30. So how system knows that? That is through this particular item number increment. Okay, with the item number increment. Just a moment, let me try another server, one moment. Sorry. Okay. We will go for S4HANA. One moment. S4HANA. Okay. Because these are scenarios which we need to check in the system. At least this reference mandatory we have to, or else one moment. Reading for it, commitment. Okay. we'll go ahead with this, because tomorrow I'll make sure I can open a different server and show you these scenarios in the system. See, what are the field you're seeing here? Every field is a scenario. It's not just like a definition you can and you can read it. Okay, they are scenarios. You need to know the functionality, how they work. Just now we have checked for sales document how it works, right? Likewise, number ranges, how they work. So every field you see here is a scenario. And in interviews also, you know how they ask these questions. So they don't ask you the definitions in the interviews. That means uh, I'll tell you like how you'll face questions in the interviews. What is sales document block? Anyone? What is sales document block? Anyone? What is a sales document block? It will help us to block some
Unused
document
documents.
type, right? It will help us to block the document for transactions. So if I ask a definition, for sure you'll answer it, right? But in interviews, they don't ask questions like this. They don't ask definitions in the interviews. They'll just ask you this way, saying that, can you tell some 3 controls or 5 controls out of VOV8? Okay, they'll ask us, can you tell some 3 controls out of VOV8? So you should tell what are those controls out of this particular screen you see here. Okay, and when they ask a question, they don't expect answers like indicator or number range increment. No, they don't expect these kind of answers. The fields, they expect something which has some scenario where you can explain some scenario. Okay, so let's assume that you started telling that 5 fields. You started with let's say document category, number range, reference mandatory. So suddenly they'll stop you. What is reference mandatory? How you used reference mandatory in your project? Explain with a scenario, right? So this is how the questions would be in the interview. They don't just ask the definitions, because if I ask a definition, definitely you'll answer because you by heart them. But if I just ask, tell me some 3 fields out of VOV8, out of this many fields, how do you know which 3 fields you have to tell, right? So be ready with 3 to 5 fields from every screen. So when I say a sales document, it is not only for sales document. It is from today, whatever the concept we discuss, and wherever you see screen like this with many fields, you need to memorize them. But and how do you memorize them? It's not possible anyone to memorize every field and every functionality, but you have to do it, and that is only by practice. So how you get that practice? That is, we already have all the screenshots. I already provided you all the screenshots of important. You see this Vivo V8 screen. Make a space like this, stick it somewhere. You see, make a space and stick all the screens like this. And every day, at least for 15 minutes to half an hour, spend time before these screens and just recall the field and functionality and subject. So that's how you can memorize and you will learn every field. If you don't do this exercise, it would be very hard for you to know all the fields. This is someone like who has created his own way of understanding way of documenting. You see this item category VOV7. So do anything. I already send you a screen either like this or either like this, because too much of subject we will be discussing. So make sure you have something like this. It would be easy for you to understand. So just stand in front of that for half an hour, these screens, and try to recall the subject by seeing the screens and fields. Okay. So item increment. So whenever we enter a material in the sales order, the first item will be always 10. Second line item will be 20. Third line item will be 30. Why it is like that? Why can't it be 1, 2, 3? Because we may have main item and sub item scenario. That means if you are offering 1 plus 1 item, for one item, one X item, you are offering one X item free, 1 plus 1. So how do you show that sub item? Okay, if you say main item as 1, we can't write the sub item as 1.1 or something, right? Or else you take, there are various concepts wherever you will have sub items, not only free goods. We have material determination. That means you are replacing material X with Y. So if you write this as 1, is it possible to write it as 1.1? Not possible. So it should be 10 and this should be 11. Or else there is a concept called as BOM, bill of material, where every material has its own value, like a computer. Computer as such, do we have any product? Anyone? We have a laptop. But like that, do we have a product as computer? When a product will be a computer, only when you put together one CPU, one monitor, one mouse, and one keyboard. When you keep all these components together, then only it will be a computer. Let's say there is no keyboard, there is only CPU, monitor, mouse. Is this a computer? Anyone? No, right? They are just components. They are just only components, right? So this is called as BOM scenario, bill of material. That means when you're selling, you will be selling maybe as a computer. Okay, you say that computer is 20K. Okay, you say computer is 20K. But how that 20K has come? When you accumulate the price of let's say CPU 5, monitor 5K, mouse 5K, keyboard 5K. When you put all together, you will sell it as computer. Let's say you take this as Dell computer. Dell computer is 20K. Do Dell also sell these components individually? Anyone? Mouse, keyboard, monitors. Do they sell or you need to buy only a computer?
Yes, sir.
Right? They sell the components as well, right? They sell CPU separately, they sell monitors, mouse, and everything. That means the components also has individual value. And see, this price of computer 20K will vary basing on what component you are using. Let's say instead of a 21-inch monitor, I want to add some 48 inches or 49-inch monitor. Will the price same? Will the computer price will be same if I change this monitor? Or else maybe I want to use a wireless keyboard.
Oh.
Depending upon the component, the price of the material also will change, right? That means BOM, bill of material concept means every component of that particular material has its own value. So if in the BOM scenario, let's say the main item you write it as 1, how do you write it as components? Will you write it as 1.1, 1.2? Not possible, right? So the reason the main item, let's say computer, will incremented by 10. 10 is computer and 20 is table. And the components of computer will be incremented by 1, like 11, 12, 13, 14. How does system know that? With this, the main item will be incremented by 10 digits and the sub item will be incremented by 1 character. Okay, so this is item increment. Then next is reference mandatory. So we have discussed, right? You can create any transaction either independently or we could refer it to preceding document and we can create it, right? We can create a transaction. I can create an order independently, or I can also create an order with reference to a quotation, right? Is it mandatory to refer a preceding document? Anyone? To create a transaction, is it mandatory to refer a preceding document?
Not mandatory.
Not mandatory, right? But there are two processes for which it is mandatory. Okay. For the only this is applicable only for two processes. It's not applicable for any other process. Only for these two processes it is mandatory. Without that you cannot create a transaction. What are those? SDF, subsequent delivery free of charge, because you have to refer to the original order, right? Without that, system will not allow us to proceed. So SDF, Maybe let me log in once again. One is SDF and the other transaction is so yeah, VOV8. That you can go to SDF. SDF, subsequent delivery free of charge, and you see mandatory as C. C means sales document because we have to refer to the original order. Likewise, what are the other process for which the reference mandatory is active? That is for invoice correction, RK, M. RK will have M. M means billing document. Only for these two processes, the reference mandatory is active. That means without referring to the original invoice for RK or original order for SDF, you cannot create a transaction. System will not allow you to proceed. But what if my requirement is, if I want to create a sales order, we need to have a mandatory reference to quotation. That's an option, right, actually? But for all the government customers, we want it to be mandatory. For all the government customers, we want it to be mandatory to refer the quotation if you want to create a sales order. So how do we do that? Anyone? How you can give a solution for that? So this is the client requirement. For any order created for government customer, mandatorily it should refer to quotation.
Document flow. The document.
No, you don't need document flow. There are various options in reference mandatory. So for quotation, reference mandatory is B. Quotation, the reference mandatory is B. You see, with reference to quotation. So what I'll do is for order, I'll maintain reference mandatory as B and save it. And if I try to create a sales order now, earlier system allowed us to create a sales order. It has not stopped us. But now, you see now, quotation. Without giving this quotation, system will not allow us to proceed. Where is that control? Reference mandatory. In the reference mandatory, we have that control. So without this quotation, system will not allow us to proceed. So reference mandatory controls whether a preceding document is mandatory to create a transaction or not. Likewise, inquiry, we have contract with various options we have. Right. The next is, I'll leave these two fields for today. Tomorrow we'll discuss because I need to show them in the sales order. Sales order has some issue. I'll arrange for a different server. This field, check division, maintain division, we'll discuss tomorrow. I'll show you in the system. Next is probability. If you remember, in the customer master also we have discussed about probability, right? So that is customer probability. This is order probability. For this document, what is the probability? So inquiry, the probability is 30%. Quotation, the probability is 70%. And a sales order is a definite one, right? So it is 100%. It is 100%. But if customer says that no, my like the percentage for this document type is not 100%, maybe it is only 80%. Because if you keep using 100%, your reportings are wrong, right? So if it is only 80%, you have to change it to 80%. If not, your reporting will be wrong. And you see, this is a grayed out field. You cannot edit this. It's a grayed out field. So now you will understand the importance of this SD document category. What is SD document category? Anyone? What is SD document category?
Shows the transaction type.
It tells what kind of transaction it is, right? So if I go to transaction quotation, you see this is 70 and this is editable field. 70 and this is an editable field. But order, it is not editable field, right? And for quotation, the SD document category is B. So now what I'll do is, I'll change this to B. Okay, you see this is still grayed out. It's not 100 is not editable. I'll change this C to B. And you see, once I change this C to B, this has become editable field. Now I can change it to 80%. That's for client requirement. So is this a valid solution? Anyone? Anyone? The solution we proposed for this, is this valid?
Yes.
Okay, so now what is this document type? What is this document now?
Quotation.
Quotation. It's not an order. It's no more an order. This is quotation. So total document itself is messed up. I changed in order to give a solution for one functionality, we messed up the complete document here, right? So now what I'll do is I'll change this again back to C. Is now this a valid solution? You see this has been grayed out. Is this now a valid solution? Yes, right? It is C, and you see this probability field has been changed to 80, right? I hope now you understood like what is the importance of this particular field, SD document category. This controls how this document should behave, the sales document should behave, right? So this is probability. Then next, check credit limit or credit group. So this is related to the credit management. Later again, we'll discuss this field. So credit, in SAP, we have credit management, and the credit management is performed in two ways. One is simple credit check and other one is automatic credit check. Simple credit check and automatic credit check. So whether you want to go for simple credit check or you want to go for automatic credit check, it is controlled here. So that's what this field is all about. D means automatic credit check. Always it will be D. Or if you want to go to simple credit check, then you can choose the option here. But now there is no more simple credit check in S/4HANA. Then read info record. If you wish to copy the CMIR into the sales document at the header level, then you could use this. You can these are by default active. If you anyway, it will go copied. Okay. So if you don't want that, you could take it out. Then check purchase order number. Check purchase order number. So when you are creating a sales order, there is a field called as purchase order number, PO number. So whenever you're creating a sales order, you see there is a PO number field. So in some business, the PO number might be mandatory. Okay. So check purchase order number. This functionality will tell system, check whether an order has been already created with reference to a purchase order or not. Whenever you're creating an order, You want system to check if there is an already existing purchase, already an order is created with reference to the purchase order. The system will not stop us. You can create any number of orders with reference to one purchase order. System will not stop us. But system will throw a warning saying that there is already an order existing with reference to this purchase order. Okay, with reference to this purchase order, there is already an order existing. That's all. That's what system just say here. Check or no check. You see, you leave it blank. It is no check. If it is a check whether the purchase order number already exists. Then next we have is enter PO number. Enter PO number. So what is this PO number? The same way again in your business, if the purchase order number is mandatory. But today, as we know, the orders can come from various sources. So customers can place order maybe through WhatsApp or a form on your website, right? So when customers are placing an order either through a text message or WhatsApp message or maybe an email, so if they are not providing you the purchase order number, but purchase order field is mandatory in the sales document, then how would system allow to do that, right? So for that reason, if you activate this enter PO number, so usually what happens whenever we create a sales order and save it, sales order number will be generated, right? The same sales order number will be copied into PO number so that this field will not be blank and system will not stop us without proceeding. Okay. So if you want the sales order number itself to be copied into the purchase order number, we have to activate this particular enter PO number. The next commitment date. Commitment date. If you activate this commitment date at the sales document level, let me just check if I can open on this change mode. Okay, so I have not shown you the structure of sales document, right? So we discussed a sales document has a structure, header, item, and schedule lines. So where is that particular in the sales order? If you want to see the header data, this is the icon. You see this? Display header document. So this is header. At the header level, you could see only the data related to the sold to party. You see? Sold to party. You don't see anything related to the material. Okay, anything related to the material here. So this data, as we discussed, if something is at the header level, then it is applicable to the total document, irrespective of number of line items. It will be applicable to all the line items in the sales order. This is header data. Item data is specific to every item. So if I double click on this line item, if any item, if you wish to see, if I double click on this line item, you see this is the material, and whatever the data is here, it is applicable only to this line item. It is not applicable to anything else. It is applicable to only this particular line item. And as we discussed, schedule lines are part of line item. Schedule lines are part of line item. So this is schedule lines. You see this? And the schedule lines will have confirmed quantity plus confirmed delivery date. Confirmed quantity plus confirmed delivery date. So this is the structure of the sales document: header, item, and schedule lines. So commitment date. So what is this commitment date? if you maintain this or if you activate this commitment date, usually it will be blank. But if you activate this commitment date, then system will add one field in the schedule lines of sales order. In the sales order schedule lines, system will add one field that is called as committed quantity. You will not see this field. If I go back, maybe make this blank, and you see, you're seeing this field right here, committed quantity, maybe VA02, and if I go to the item, schedule lines, you see, do you see a field committed quantity here? It used to be somewhere here, right, earlier? But you don't see that field here, committed quantity. You don't see that, right? When you will see that committed quantity field here, only when you maintain this commitment date. Okay, when you maintain this commitment date, then only you will see a new field being added into the schedule lines of the sales order called as committed quantity. And so what is the functionality of this field? That is, system will give first preference for the orders whichever is having this committed quantity. Okay, system will give first preference of delivery for the orders whichever is having this particular committed quantity, right? So that is commitment date. Then next is screen sequence group. Screen sequence group controls what fields should be there and how this should be there. You see, sales order looks like this. Quotation looks a little different. Contract looks different. Invoice correction looks different, right? So how does system know, like this all fields to be different and these things? How system know that? That is through this field called as screen sequence group. So for every transaction, there will be a different screen sequence group, and that's how system will be knowing the fields, what it should be there. Then incompletion procedure. If you remember, we have discussed that there is a concept called as incompletion log, and if any field is missing, mandatory field is missing, system will not allow us to proceed, right? So that means system will have two options. One is you can save a incomplete document, or else you could edit it and make it complete, right? So how does system know that? We have discussed that there is a concept called as incompletion log. So that incompletion log will be assigned to sales document, right? And here where it will get updated. So here where it will get updated when you assign the incompletion log to the sales document. Okay, that is incompletion log. Transaction group. The next is transaction group. Let's say, what is the T code for creation of sales order? Anyone? What is the T code?
VA01.
The T code to create a sales order is VA01. VA01. But you see, system throws a message here. The system says you process this particular sales document OR with VA11. Okay. System says process this sales document with VA11. But earlier we tried it VA01, right? That's what we used. So with which T code you can access a transaction can be controlled by this field transaction group. Usually it is 0, I just changed it to 1. So this field transaction group will control with which T code you can access any transaction. Maybe you create a Z transaction, a custom transaction. You can give a number and assign it here. So that system will know with what transaction or T code you can create for this particular document type. That is transaction group. The next is document pricing procedure. If you remember in the customer master also, we have a field called as customer pricing procedure. So what is customer pricing procedure? Anyone? What is customer pricing procedure? We discussed that it's one of the parameters which will help us to determine pricing procedure into sales document, right? So that is what we discussed. It's one of the parameters which will help us to determine pricing procedure into sales document. Even for document pricing procedure also, it's the same definition. The definition is, it is one of the parameter to determine pricing procedure into sales document. What is this determination? We'll discuss when it comes to pricing concept, right? So this also we'll discuss tomorrow. We need to see them in the system. This we'll leave it for today and let us discuss this. Display range. Earlier we have discussed, right? Like computer, these things. Okay, computer has only 4 components. But if there is a material, serial number 10 and X, but this has 100 components, is it possible to show all the components in the sales order? Right? So whether you want to show only the main item or you want to show main item plus components. So how you want to show the material in the sales order? Only the main item or main item with sub items? That is controlled by display range. UL means show everything, that is main item and components. UHAU means only the main item, don't show sub item. Even though it has sub item, don't show the sub items. Then F code for overview screen. F code means function code. Function code for overview screen. Let's say we create a sales order. Whenever we create a sales order, you see by default we will land into the sales tab. We have a couple of other tabs here, like item overview, item detail, ordering party. We have a couple of tabs, but we will be always landing into the sales tab. But I don't want this tab. I want ordering party. In my business, we have CMIR, and I want to land into CMIR. That means ordering party, or maybe some other item detail. So by default, whenever you land into the sales document, what screen, or that means what tab you want to see it here, that is controlled by function code for overview screen. I'll just change it to something else here. Maybe ordering party, I'll change it. That is UVST. I'll save this and again go back and create a sales order. VA01. You see now we are directly into the ordering party. So whenever you land into the sales order screen, by default, which tab it should show? That is controlled by this particular field called as function code for overview screen. Okay. The next is quotation. This messages. See, the purpose of this is same. All the messages, the purpose of messages is same. How system should respond. Okay. How, whenever you're creating a transaction, how system should respond. That's why I'll put it as A. Let us save this. You see, combination, okay. Whenever we create a sales order, system is not asking for any quotation or something, right? Let's say now if I go and create a sales order, system is directly taking it to sales order, right? But is system saying that this customer is having any pending quotations or something? Nothing. System is not stopping us or system is not showing us. So let us see whether it works or not. Okay, it's not working anyway. Even this functionality we'll see tomorrow. That is like how system should respond. If you are creating a sales order, if you want to system to check for this customer at the item level, we can check at the header level, we can check. If you want to tell the system, check whether any open quotations are available for this customer. Okay. So these particular messages, this will control. So this also we'll see it in the system tomorrow. Okay, so we'll call it a day today. We'll stop it here, and tomorrow we'll catch up and control with this particular fields. So we need to see check division, item division, and anyway, these fields are yet to be discussed. Any questions, please go ahead.
As you said, actually, the check purchase order number is we mentioned as a mandatory. And when we save, sales order number will pick as a PO number also, right?
Yes.
Can we give any mandate which we want some other instead of order number, we can give any additional other details?
No, it will take only the sales order number and put it in the PO number field, not any other number. Okay. Only sales
Screen
order.
sequence group.
Okay.
Who will create this layout? Is what we can see.
What? No, your customer will tell that, because see, it's up to the business, like what they want to see, what fields we need in the sales document and everything. So when we show the sales document, obviously, why would any business need this many fields in a sales document, right? So
Yes.
tomorrow that we'll discuss, that is here in the variant. You see this way, this particular, this is called a screen variant. With this screen variant, we can control and suppress what fields we want, what fields we don't want in the sales order. Because let's say if my business is not accepting cards, we don't have credit card acceptance, then but why should I show card number or the code of the card? Right? I don't know. I don't want that fields. It's confusing for the user. I can suppress it. That we can do it with this variant. Okay.
In which situation we can use external number range and internal number range?
It is always internal. External is for the one-time customers.
One-time
Or
customers.
new customers or one-time customers.
Thank you.
So we'll call it a day today. Catch up tomorrow, and tomorrow we'll continue with the same.
Hello.
This will take another week. Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, just yesterday I was completely configuring PDP in VOV8. Okay, so when I tried first time, I did not got any error. It was completely done perfectly. But yesterday again, while I was practicing, I got the error that SV019 message number.
Okay.
Which says
What is
that
error?
choose the key from allowed namespace.
That's not an error.
Huh.
That's not an error actually. That's a warning message.
Okay.
You could press enter, ignore, and proceed. That is not an error message. It's a warning message.
Okay, sir. But why it came, sir, like that?
Yeah, because you might have typed this like if it is sold to party, again you might have typed sold to party.
Okay, okay. Might be it has been repeated once, whichever is.
It might be repeated, or it can be also possible that the original sold to party is in capital letters, uppercase, and what you entered in the lowercase.
Okay, okay. So that is also we need to check.
Yes, yes. When you for certain concept, you need to check that as well. Just like this, you see, if I change it to B here, I'll put B.
Yes.
B means quotation, right?
Yes, yes.
I'll put B. If I enter, you see system throws an error. I entered B, but or else I'll enter C actually. Okay. System throws an error. You see, only document category with sales order character are allowed. You will be confused. You don't know. See, you are doing correct. You are entering C, but system throws an error. You confused. You don't know what to do.
Sir, near about it took me half an hour to solve that.
You see, All are capital letters. They are not small letters. So if it is capital by default, you have to use capital. You cannot use small letter.
Okay. So
Okay.
it was
But
the error in partner function, sir. When I created partner function.
Anywhere in the standard, you'll face that kind of error. It might be a first thing. It might be a warning. Press enter, ignore,
Okay.
and then proceed. If it is still stopping, let me know.
Okay, sir. So at the time of assignment, partner function to PDP, there it was showing
Yes.
that error.
Yeah. There only it will show either in the fourth step or third step or
Yes,
fifth step it
exactly,
will
sir.
show. Yeah, it's a
When
known
we
error.
assign KU
Yes.
partner type to function, partner function.
Yes. It's a known
Okay,
thing.
sir.
Just press enter and go ahead.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
So what is the purpose of purchase order?
What is the purpose of purchase order? You're saying, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a document from the customer. So how do customer tell? Customer cannot just tell orally, or he can make a call and tell that send me 100 quantity, right? There should be some structured format or a document of ordering. Okay, so customer will write in the purchase order, I want this material, this much quantity, I want to get it delivered so and so day. So that is a valid document for us to create a sales order.
Okay.
Okay.
And what is line item? Will you please explain?
Line item. Yeah, line item means the material what we enter in the sales document. Serial number 10 X material, serial number 20 Y material. So that is line item. Line item means the material what you entered in the sales document.
And what is the difference between quotation and purchase order?
Quite opposite. The quotation is a sales document, purchase order is a MM document. Okay. Quotation is for our reference. Okay, customer has sent us purchase order saying that send me X material 100 quantity. So with reference to that purchase order, we send a quotation to the customer saying that this X material 100 quantity, the price is so and so. These are the terms and conditions. This is how you need to pay us. If customer is okay with that quotation, then we create a sales order.
Okay.
These all are pretty basic terms. So as we proceed, you will easily understand them. Right. So good day everyone and catch up tomorrow. Bye-bye. Yeah, all the videos are uploaded. Can you please check? It's uploaded. Please check the drive.
And the S4 HANA.
Yeah, sorry. S4 I'll upload. The ECC, everything is uploaded.
Yeah.
So S4 please check it tomorrow. It should be there. So good day everyone and catch up tomorrow.